All right, buckle up for a deep dive into The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma.
Oh, this will be good.
You guys sent over a pretty interesting mix of excerpts and notes, so we're going to try to pull out all the insights.
Yeah.
And, I got to say, it's not your typical self-help book. It's actually a story,
Right.
which honestly makes it way more fun to read, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're not just going to be like, reading a list of tips.
Yeah.
Instead, we meet these like characters like the Spellbinder, who's this enigmatic guru, and let's face it, loves a little drama.
He definitely knows how to make an entrance, yeah. But, I mean, even beyond, like, all the theatrics, his message is really thought-provoking.
Yeah.
He's, like, criticizing our obsession with technology, and he really wants us to invest in, our better selves, to strive for what he calls legendary lives.
And that's where the other characters come in, right?
Yeah.
The entrepreneur who's totally burned out from her crazy life.
Yeah.
And the artist who's clearly so talented, but for some reason seems to be like holding himself back. Mm-hmm.
So they both go to the Spellbinder seminar, right?
Exactly. And that's actually where they first meet the billionaire, who, get this, is disguised as a homeless man.
Wait, seriously?
Seriously. It's a brilliant way to challenge all our assumptions about, like, success and appearance.
Oh, see, that's the part that, like, totally got me hooked. Like, who is this guy?
Right.
And why is he pretending to be broke when he obviously has, like, a private island?
That's the genius of Sharma's storytelling,
Yeah.
He creates all this intrigue and suspense, pulls you into the story, and while he's doing all that, he's subtly, like, planting these seeds of wisdom.
Okay, so the billionaire sees something in the entrepreneur and the artist.
Yeah.
And basically invites them to his island, which, by the way, sounds absolutely amazing.
Oh, yeah, 5 hours off the coast of Cape Town, like, come on.
Sign me up.
Right. So it's like a classic hero's journey setup.
Mm-hmm.
This unexpected invitation to a secluded place where the characters, they go through this, like, deep transformation, and then we find out the billionaire is actually the Spellbinder in disguise.
The whole time.
Wow.
Like, he orchestrated this whole elaborate setup to teach them and us
Yeah.
about the power of waking up at 5 a.m.
That's crazy.
Radical, right.
Yeah.
But the book makes a point. Like, this isn't just about getting more time.
Right.
It's about accessing this, like, whole different state of mind, a time when you're less distracted, more open to inspiration.
So it's like peak potential time.
Exactly.
He's basically saying if you want to do amazing things, you got to start your day in an amazing way.
Right.
But I mean, let's be real. How realistic is it for like the average person to just completely change their sleep schedule?
That's where the whole habit formation thing comes in. The billionaire, he lives and breathes this 5 a.m. philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about his own struggles, his triumphs, how he made this routine a part of his life. He even says he used to sleep in his workout clothes.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like to make absolutely sure he wouldn't skip his morning workout.
That is dedication.
Talk about commitment.
But it also like highlights this idea, right? That it's not just about willpower. It's about setting yourself up for success, removing those obstacles,
Yeah.
designing your environment so it like supports your goals.
And the book, it gives you this framework. It calls it the Habit Installation Protocol to help you make lasting changes.
Okay, so this is where it gets practical, right?
Yeah.
Tell me more about this protocol. How does it work?
So it's a 3-phase process.
Mm-hmm.
Destruction, installation, and integration.
Okay.
The first one, destruction, means you got to break down those old patterns.
Which probably isn't very comfortable.
Not always, no.
Ah.
It's like ripping off a Band-Aid, right? It might hurt a little at first,
Yeah.
but it's necessary for growth.
Yeah.
Then you move into installation, where you're actually doing the new habit.
Okay.
This is what they call the messy middle. It takes about 22 days for those new neural pathways to really start forming.
So consistency is key here.
Totally.
You got to keep showing up, even when you don't feel like it.
Yeah, and then you get to integration, which happens
Yeah.
after around 66 days.
So that's when it really becomes like a part of you.
Yeah, your new normal.
So like imagine waking up at 5 a.m. and you're actually energized
Yeah.
and excited to start your day.
That's the dream.
It's almost like a superpower.
Right.
But then what do you do with all that extra time?
That's where the 20-20-20 formula comes in,
Okay.
which is like the heart of the 5 a.m. club method. It breaks that first hour down into 3 parts: move, reflect, and grow.
Okay, so break it down for me. What does each segment involve? What's the like science behind it? And how can we, as listeners, use these ideas even if we're not ready for that 5 a.m. wake up call?
Well, the first 20 minutes are all about move.
So we're talking exercise here.
You got it. The book really stresses getting your heart rate up right away in the morning. Could be a walk, a run, yoga, anything that gets your blood flowing and releases those endorphins. And it's not just for your body. Exercise has a huge impact on your brain and your mood, too.
I've definitely noticed that, like, when I start my day with a workout, I'm way more focused.
Right.
And I have more energy throughout the day.
It's like a reset button for your mind.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so then we've got reflect, which is about 20 minutes of looking inward. Like self-awareness could be journaling, meditation, or just sitting quietly reflecting on your goals.
So this is where we slow down, like really connect with ourselves.
Exactly. In a world where everything's so fast-paced, reflect is about quieting that noise and really listening to your inner voice.
It's about becoming more aware of our thoughts, our emotions, our values. And I imagine this can be so powerful for like personal growth
Absolutely.
and self-discovery.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've moved our bodies, we've reflected. What's next?
All right, the last 20 minutes are dedicated to grow, which is all about expanding your knowledge, your skills. Could be reading, listening to podcasts, taking a course online, anything that makes you think and helps you learn.
This is where we feed our curiosity, right? Like really invest in our brains.
Yeah, and the book really pushes lifelong learning, always seeking new knowledge, new perspectives. It's about becoming a more well-rounded, informed person.
And I feel like this is especially important for like our listeners who are always trying to learn new things and stay ahead of the game.
For sure.
It's about becoming more valuable, both professionally and personally.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the 20-20-20 formula. But the 5 a.m. Club is about more than just productivity and time management, right?
You're right. The book goes deeper. It talks about what the Spellbinder calls the 4 interior empires, which he thinks are crucial for real mastery and fulfillment.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these interior empires. What are they and how do they relate to the 5 a.m. routine?
So the 4 interior empires are mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set. The Spellbinder, he explains that nurturing these inner parts of ourselves is crucial for true success and happiness.
You know, I have to admit, I struggle a bit with this idea of soul set. It sounds a little, I don't know, woo-woo to me. How can someone like me, who's more practical, like, connect with that?
I totally get it. A lot of people feel that way. But the Spellbinder, he addresses this. He makes it clear that soul set isn't about religion or, doing weird rituals. It's about connecting with your deeper purpose, your values, your intuition.
Okay, that makes more sense. So it's about finding meaning and purpose in your life, the things that drive you and inspire you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the book suggests that the quiet time early in the morning can be the perfect time to, connect with that inner compass.
It's like creating a space for self-reflection and contemplation, a time to really think about your core values and what you want to achieve.
That's it. It's not just about getting ahead externally. It's about cultivating inner peace and fulfillment.
And the other 3 empires, mindset, heart set, and health set, they all play a role in that journey, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's break them down. We've already touched on mindset a bit, but can you expand on what it means to have a strong mindset?
Sure. The Spellbinder says mindset is about developing this positive, empowering mental framework, believing in yourself and your ability to reach your goals. It's about recognizing those limiting beliefs and replacing them with empowering ones.
So it's about being aware of the stories we tell ourselves and choosing to have a more positive, growth-oriented perspective.
Exactly. And the 5 a.m. routine, with its focus on reflection and learning, it gives you the time and space to build that stronger mindset.
And how about heart set? How's that different from mindset?
Heart set is all about nurturing your emotional intelligence, resilience, and compassion. That quiet time in the morning lets you really connect with your emotions, process your experiences, and develop a deeper sense of empathy.
Some people might say that emotional intelligence is just a soft skill and not really essential for success in today's world. How does the 5 a.m. Club address that?
That's a really common misconception. But research shows that emotional intelligence is actually a key predictor of success, both personally and professionally. Being able to understand and manage your emotions and the emotions of others is crucial for building relationships, handling conflict, and leading with empathy and authenticity.
So it's not about, suppressing your emotions or becoming overly sentimental.
No.
It's about having a healthy relationship with your emotions and using them as a source of strength and insight.
Exactly. And the 5 a.m. routine, with all that reflection and mindfulness, can help you cultivate that emotional intelligence. It gives you the space to process your feelings, develop ways to deal with stress, and build compassion for yourself and others.
Okay, mindset, heart set. What about health set? That one seems pretty self-explanatory, but I'm curious to hear how the book approaches it.
Well, Health Set is all about optimizing your physical well-being through exercise, nutrition, and sleep. The 5 a.m. routine, with its focus on movement and a consistent sleep schedule, naturally supports that.
It's about recognizing that our physical health is the foundation for everything else.
Totally.
We can't perform at our best if we're not taking care of our bodies.
The Spellbinder is all about that. He says that physical energy is essential for mental clarity, emotional stability, and spiritual growth. He sees the body as a temple, something to be nurtured and respected.
So it's a holistic approach to well-being.
Exactly.
Recognizing that our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual selves are all interconnected.
Precisely. And the 5 a.m. routine provides this framework for cultivating all of those aspects, ultimately leading to a richer, more fulfilling, and more impactful life.
All right, so we've covered the 4 interior empires, the 20-20-20 formula. What else is there to trade to the 5 a.m. club? What are some key takeaways our listeners can apply to their lives?
Well, one of the most memorable things in the book is the billionaire's collection of what he calls magic charms. 11 principles he learned from the Spellbinder that have helped him achieve success and fulfillment.
These sound interesting. Can you share a couple of them and how they relate to the overall message of the book?
One of the most powerful charms is the flower, which represents the idea of prioritizing miraculous experiences over material things.
That's a beautiful concept.
It is, right?
What does it mean practically?
It's about choosing experiences over possessions, finding joy in the simple things, and cultivating a sense of adventure and wonder. The billionaire really stresses that true wealth is in the memories we make, the connections we build, the impacts we have on the world, not the stuff we accumulate.
It's a powerful message, especially in our society where we're constantly bombarded with messages telling us to buy more stuff.
For sure.
Like happiness can be bought.
Right. This charm encourages us to shift our focus from acquiring things to creating experiences that truly enrich our lives.
So things like travel, adventures, learning new skills,
Yeah.
building meaningful relationships, experiences that broaden our horizons and create lasting memories.
Exactly. And another powerful charm is the Nazar, an eye-shaped amulet that represents the principle, avoid bad people.
That sounds pretty obvious, but I'm curious to hear how the book explores it.
It's deeper than just staying away from toxic people. It's about being selective, about who you let into your inner circle, who you spend your time with, who you allow to influence your thinking. The billionaire emphasizes that the people around us have a huge impact on our lives.
It's like that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Exactly. This charm reminds us to surround ourselves with positive people, people who lift us up, support our growth, and inspire us to be our best.
It's about choosing our company carefully and understanding that the energy we surround ourselves with has a direct impact on our own energy and well-being.
Precisely. And a third charm that's really worth mentioning is the hourglass, which represents the principle, tomorrow is a bonus, not a right.
That's a powerful reminder of, like, our own mortality.
It is.
How does the billionaire connect that idea to the 5 a.m. club?
It's about living intentionally, making the most of every day, and going after your passions without waiting. The billionaire really stresses that we shouldn't take our time for granted.
It's so easy to fall into that trap of like, oh, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll do it when I have more time.
Right.
But this charm reminds us that tomorrow isn't guaranteed.
Absolutely. It's a call to embrace the present moment, to live with a sense of urgency, and to make choices that align with your values.
It's about recognizing that life is a gift and that we have the power to create a meaningful and impactful legacy.
Starting today.
Starting today.
And the 5 a.m. club routine, with its focus on intention, discipline, and self-mastery, it gives you a powerful framework for doing just that.
Okay, so we've covered the basics of the 5 a.m. club, but the billionaire's journey with the entrepreneur and the artist, it doesn't end with these lessons, right? This is just the beginning.
Oh, you're absolutely right. The real transformation begins when they leave the island and start putting these principles into practice in the real world, facing challenges, setbacks, and ultimately discovering what success and fulfillment really mean.
All right, well, that sounds like the perfect lead-in to part 2 of our deep dive.
So leaving the island, things get real, Like, remember that 3-step success formula the Spellbinder talked about? Better awareness leads to better choices, leads to better results. Sounds pretty simple.
Right.
But actually doing it, That's where the real work is.
Yeah, it's easy to get all inspired when you're on some secluded paradise,
Oh, very
surrounded
sad.
by mentors, like-minded people.
Mhm.
But, I mean, back in the real world, with all the distractions and, like, everyday stuff, it's different.
Exactly. And that's why the billionaire talks about what he calls the 4 focuses of history makers. It's like a framework for getting extraordinary results.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me about these 4 focuses. How do they help us, like, take these big concepts and turn them into something we can actually do?
He's used this really interesting story from Formula One racing.
Okay.
He was watching the pit crew, and even after the race car had, zoomed off, they were still meticulously cleaning the whole pit area, like sweeping and vacuuming.
That seems a little much, doesn't it? Like, what's the point of all that cleaning when the race is over?
So he asked them about it,
Yeah.
and they told him that even a tiny speck of dirt could mess up the car's performance,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even cause a huge accident.
Wow.
They were working with this like insane level of precision, paying attention to details that most people wouldn't even think about.
That's incredible. They're not just, like, doing their jobs. They're going above and beyond, like, striving for excellence in every little thing.
Exactly. And the billionaire says that's a principle we can apply to, well, any part of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Work, relationships, personal growth.
So it's not enough to just go through the motions.
Nope.
We have to bring that intensity, that focus to every task, even the small ones.
You got it. It's about being present, giving it your all, and never settling for, just okay.
It reminds me of the idea of deliberate practice. Like, if you really want to master something, you need that focused effort, and you have to always be trying to get better.
That's a great connection. And it ties into what the billionaire calls personal mastery practice during that 5 a.m. hour. He says it's not just about getting stuff done. It's about working on those interior empires. Remember, mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set.
Yeah, those were pretty powerful concepts.
They were.
He's saying, like, go beyond just the external stuff, like the things that make you look successful, and focus on building that strong inner foundation.
Absolutely. He really believes that true power comes from within, from aligning your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, your values.
Okay, so let's go back to those 4 interior empires for a minute. We
Yeah.
talked about mindset and how it's about creating that positive, empowering mental state. But what are some, like, practical things people can do to actually strengthen that part of themselves?
The billionaire suggests things like visualization, affirmations, gratitude journaling. They're all about, like, rewiring your subconscious, replacing negative thoughts with more positive ones.
So it's about taking control of your thoughts
Yeah.
and choosing to believe things that will help you achieve your goals, not just accepting those negative thoughts that can hold you back.
Exactly. And it takes effort because our minds are always being bombarded with messages, some good, some bad.
Right.
Building a strong mindset is a constant process.
Okay, what about heart set? How can we develop our emotional intelligence, resilience, compassion?
He talks a lot about self-awareness, the ability to actually recognize and manage your emotions. He suggests meditation, journaling, those kinds of things to get a deeper understanding of yourself.
So being able to, like, identify your emotions, figure out what triggers them, and then develop healthy ways to cope with stress and challenges.
That's it. And it's also about cultivating compassion for yourself and others.
It's interesting. We often think of success as this, like, individual thing. But the billionaire seems to be saying that connection, being able to relate to others, build strong relationships, is just as important as, like, ambition and drive.
Absolutely. He's a big believer in collaboration, mentorship, and working towards something bigger than yourself.
Okay, so mindset, heart set. What about health set? What are some of the key things the billionaire emphasizes there?
He's all about exercise, talks about how good it is for your energy, your focus, your mood.
Mm-hmm.
He even has this funny story about how he used to sleep in his workout clothes.
Aha! Wait, really?
Yeah, just so he wouldn't skip his morning workout.
I love that it's like, removing any obstacles, making it as easy as possible to stick to those healthy habits.
Exactly. And he also stresses the importance of, eating well, having a healthy, balanced diet.
So basically fueling your body with the right things.
He sees food as fuel for the body, ain't mind.
Interesting.
And he encourages readers to really think about what they're putting into their bodies.
So it's about nourishing ourselves with healthy foods that support our energy and well-being.
Exactly. And then there's soul set, which we talked about earlier. It's all about connecting with your deeper purpose, values, and spirituality. He suggests things like meditation, prayer, spending time in nature.
So practices that help us quiet our minds, connect with our inner wisdom, and maybe even tap into something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. And he reminds us that cultivating our soul set, it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
It's about exploring your beliefs, your values, your connection to the world around you.
It's about finding meaning and purpose in life, the things that give you direction and fulfillment.
You got it. And the 5 a.m. routine, with all its emphasis on reflection and introspection, it creates the perfect space for that.
Okay, so we've gone through the 4 interior empires.
Mm-hmm.
What other important concepts does the billionaire bring up as the entrepreneur and the artist start putting the 5 a.m. club into practice?
One of those powerful ideas is this concept he calls the tight bubble of total focus.
Okay.
It's this mental state of like pure concentration where you're totally in the zone, distractions fade away, and you can get so much done.
It's like that feeling of being completely absorbed in something where everything else disappears.
Yeah.
And you're super productive.
Exactly. And he says this is something everyone can achieve, but you have to actively eliminate distractions and create that space for uninterrupted focus.
It's like what we were talking about with the Formula One pit crew. Their dedication to getting rid of even the tiniest distractions.
Totally.
It's about designing your environment so it supports your best work.
Exactly. And the billionaire points out that our world today is full of distractions.
Oh, yeah.
Especially digital ones. He suggests something he calls a digital sunset,
Okay.
where you set aside time each day to like disconnect from all your devices and do things that nourish your mind, body, and soul.
That's such an important reminder, especially today when we're always connected, always getting notifications and updates.
I know, right?
It's about taking back our time, our attention,
Yep.
and choosing to focus on the things that really matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He also talks about being aware of your cognitive bandwidth, which is basically the limited amount of mental energy we have each day.
Okay.
He says we need to be smart about how we use that energy, focusing on the most important tasks that align with our goals.
That reminds me of the idea of decision fatigue, like how our willpower and ability to make good decisions gets worn down as the day goes on.
Exactly. And the billionaire suggests automating decisions as much as possible. Things like what to wear, what to eat for breakfast, so you can save your mental energy for the big stuff.
It's about simplifying,
Yeah.
eliminating choices, creating routines that support your goals and your well-being.
Precisely. And he says, the most successful people, whether they're artists, athletes, or entrepreneurs, they understand this idea of like oscillating. They switch between periods of really intense focus and periods of rest and recovery.
So it's not about pushing yourself to the limit all the time.
Nope.
It's about finding a sustainable rhythm that lets you perform at your best over the long haul.
Exactly. And he introduces this model he calls the twin cycles of elite performance,
Okay.
which is all about finding that balance.
Tell me more about that model. How can we actually use it?
He suggests working in focused bursts, like 60 minutes of intense work, followed by 10 minutes of rest.
Okay.
Kind of like the Pomodoro technique.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So it's about finding what works for you. 60-10, 9-20, or whatever.
The point is to have a structure that lets you work hard, but also give your mind and body the breaks they need.
Exactly. And the billionaire, he's a big believer in play and leisure, too.
Okay.
He says those things aren't distractions. They're essential for recovery, and they help boost creativity and well-being.
Like how Einstein loved to sail and Aristotle and Charles Dickens were big walkers.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good reminder that even the smartest people need time to relax and recharge.
Absolutely.
The billionaire's message is clear. We need to separate our work lives from our personal lives.
Yeah. And make time for things that bring us joy and help us recharge. And that's super important for our well-being and our success in the long run.
That leads us to one of the most intriguing and mysterious parts of the book, the magic.
Yeah.
The billionaire talks about this, higher reality, a way of being that unlocks abundance, joy, deeper meaning.
He believes everyone can access this magical realm, but we have to shift our perspective.
It's like seeing the world in a whole new way.
He describes it as being present, appreciating the simple things, feeling a sense of wonder and awe.
It sounds almost spiritual.
It is. He wants us to become like magicians of our own lives, making our desires a reality through intention, belief, and action.
Okay.
He even gives the entrepreneur and the artist 11 magic charms, each one representing a key principle for living in this magical way.
Can you tell me about a couple of those charms? What principles do they represent? I'm curious how they connect to all the practical advice we've been talking about. Well, one is the flower, which we touched on earlier. It's all about miraculous experiences over material things.
Yeah.
It's about prioritizing experiences, finding joy in the simple things, and embracing adventure and wonder.
It's like that whole minimalism thing, the idea that
100%.
experiences are more valuable than possessions.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Another one is the Nazar, an eye-shaped amulet that represents avoid bad people.
Yeah.
It's about being careful about who you let into your life.
Right.
Surrounding yourself with good influences that support your growth.
It goes back to that idea that the people we spend time with, they really shape who we become.
Totally. And another one worth mentioning is the hourglass, which represents tomorrow is a bonus, not a right.
Mm-hmm. A reminder that life is precious and we don't know what tomorrow will bring.
Exactly. The billionaire really emphasizes that we should appreciate every moment, enjoy the beauty and wonder of life, and live with gratitude and urgency.
So these magic charms, they're not literally magic.
No.
They're more like symbols of these powerful principles for living a better life.
Exactly. They're reminders to shift your thinking, build good habits, and embrace the magic that's all around us.
Okay, we've covered a lot.
We have.
The 4 focuses of history makers, the 4 interior empires, the tight bubble of total focus, the twin cycles of elite performance, and these magic charms.
It's a lot to take in.
But how does it all play out for the entrepreneur and the artist? How do they actually use these principles and what happens?
That's where the story gets really interesting, and that's what we'll be exploring in part 3 of our deep dives. So the entrepreneur and the artist, they've got all these tools from the 5 a.m. club, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're ready to go out and conquer the world. But something tells me it wasn't all smooth sailing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I doubt it was just like instant success and happiness.
Right. It's one thing to learn about these things in like a perfect little bubble.
Yeah.
But then you go back to real life
Yeah.
with all the, stress and distractions.
Yeah.
It's a whole different game.
And that's probably where the billionaire's mentorship becomes even more important, right?
Oh, absolutely. He's not just teaching them. He's like right there with them, guiding them, helping them deal with the setbacks and challenges that come up as they try to really live these principles.
So what are some of the specific challenges they face? How do they use what they learn from the 5 a.m. club to get through those tough spots?
Well, for the entrepreneur, one of the biggest things is learning to let go of control.
Okay.
She's used to being in charge, pushing herself to the max. But the billionaire, he encourages her to find more balance, to take care of herself, to delegate, to trust other people.
Yeah, that's tough for a lot of driven, high-achieving people.
Yes.
It's about realizing you can't do everything yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes the best way to reach your goals is to, empower others and build a strong team.
Exactly. And for the artist, his problem is more about self-sabotage.
Okay.
He's super talented.
Yeah.
But he's got all this self-doubt, fear of failure.
I think we've all been there.
Right. That little voice in your head saying, you're not good enough, you're going to mess up, you shouldn't even bother trying.
Yeah.
The billionaire helps him recognize those negative thoughts and replace them with more positive ones.
That's huge.
Yeah. He encourages him to embrace vulnerability, to take risks, and to, celebrate his wins, even the small ones.
It's like shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset.
Exactly.
Realizing that failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of the process.
And as the entrepreneur and the artist start putting these principles into practice, they start seeing real changes.
In their actual lives.
Yeah. Their businesses do better. They're more creative. Their relationships improve.
So it's not just about personal growth. It's about success across the board.
Exactly. The billionaire's whole point is when you work on those interior empires, when your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions are all aligned with your values, then success just kind of happens naturally.
It's about becoming the best version of yourself. Not just for you, but for everyone around you.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And then there's this really powerful moment.
Okay.
The billionaire, he knows his time is limited. And he shares this profound truth with the entrepreneur and the artist.
What is it?
He tells them his greatest accomplishment wasn't building his empire. It was the impact he had on other people, the legacy he built by being a mentor and giving back.
Wow, that's really powerful.
It is, right?
It's about realizing that true success isn't measured by money or possessions. It's about the positive difference you make in the world.
Exactly. And he challenges them and us as readers to think about our own legacy, what we want to be remembered for, how we want to make our mark.
It's like a call to action, to step up, live up to our full potential, not just for ourselves, but for all of humanity.
And then there's this twist.
Okay.
The billionaire passes away,
Oh, wow.
leaving the entrepreneur and the artist to carry on what he started.
That's sad, but also really inspiring.
It is, right? It's sad to see him go, but it's amazing to see how much he influenced them
Yeah?
and how his teachings will continue to ripple outwards.
So then what happens?
The story jumps ahead 5 years,
Okay.
and it shows us the lasting impact of his mentorship.
So how did things turn out for the entrepreneur and the artist?
Well, the entrepreneur, she's become super successful.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, she's found real happiness and fulfillment.
That's great.
She's using her success to help others, to make a difference in the world, to live a life true to her values.
And the artist.
He finally overcame all that self-doubt,
That's awesome.
and he's become a celebrated painter.
Wow, so they both really embraced the 5 a.m. club.
Yeah, they built their inner strength and used their success to do good in the world.
It's a pretty amazing story.
It is.
It shows how powerful mentorship can be and how much those lessons on the island really changed their lives.
It leaves us with this question. What if the best thing about waking up at 5 a.m. isn't the extra time, but finding a deeper sense of purpose, feeling connected to something bigger than yourself?
It's like an invitation to explore our own potential, embrace the magic in life, and leave a legacy that lasts.
Exactly.
So if this deep dive has piqued your interest, I definitely recommend checking out the 5 a.m. Club yourself.
You might be surprised at what you discover.
And that's a wrap for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.